Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Brian.
Good evening, Brian.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
I just told Pete I wrote up a thing in NRC description and sent it to Pete. He tweaked it a little bit, put something in the Oregon Trail. So I'd like to have everybody go over that, maybe do some wordsmithing to see if there's something you'd rather have.
Yeah, I have that on my screen in Word. So if you want to tweak it, I can share my screen.
Okay, that'd be good.
Yeah. When do you want to do that?
I don't care. Maybe under the old business, because it kind of is.
Okay.
Talking about it before. Let's put it at number 2 under the old business.
All right. Okay. And I don't.
Is Emily coming? Emily.
Oh, there she is. All right.
Yay.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hi, Emily. Well, in that case, I will call the meeting officially to order.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Wait, is Sam coming? Do we know?
Oh, she had the baby.
Oh my gosh! Wow,
She had
that's so
it
exciting.
this morning, yesterday.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
She had a picture. Do you have a picture you can share?
Yeah, sure. I
have it on my calendar. Let's see. Your baby was due on the 14th. Okay, so they came early. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so exciting.
Let me find the picture. It's in my inbox somewhere. I meant to do that. There she is. Hang on. All righty. Okay.
So Sam says she's not coming today.
Yeah, very reasonable.
Do you think she minds us sharing a picture of her baby?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Can we send it on email instead of just?
Okay. Yeah. It's very cute.
I'll forward it along to you guys. He is beautiful.
His name is Ari, I think.
That's name's Ari Joseph Wolf.
Oh, that's nice.
Healthy, doing well. All are very, very sleepy.
And will be.
Understood.
Yeah.
Looked like a very wise soul.
Oh.
Wrapped up, and eyes closed, and happy.
Yeah. Sleeping babies are always the best.
Yeah. So congratulations, Sam, and everybody in the family.
Yeah. He's a cutie.
All right. We don't have a long agenda this evening, so
I added something to it,
but yeah, I shouldn't. We have that. So
we start with old business. We're going to look at the work plan for 2023 to 25.
Oh yeah, and I'm not seeing anybody sign up for public comment.
Okay. I figured you would have said something.
Right. I thought I'd mention it. So first up is the adoption of our work plan. And I have that up on my screen somewhere. This is that was a word, yeah. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So basically what I did was I took everything off of that worksheet and stuck it into a list and renumbered everything. And the things that we said that we were going to remove, I removed. And the things that we were going to consolidate, I attempted to do that. So
I like this much better than that huge table.
yeah, that was unwieldy to say the least. So I'll run through these in order. How about that?
Okay. I found one typo on part number 2.
So NRC responsibility 1, promoting community involvement in NRC in natural resources conservation. First Support a public tree inventory with volunteer participation for city properties, parks, trees, school properties, and other public lands. And
did we not vote to take that off because it was like outside of the scope, or?
Well,
I think we still we want to support it because.
Oh, okay. So, that's right. We changed the.
We're not saying we're going to do it. We're just
okay. Got it.
Yeah, if this actually becomes a funded city commission priority, we would want to be in position to support that this biennium. So we shall see. Anyway, that's that one. Anybody else have any comments on number 1? Number 2, communicate regularly with neighborhood associations, citizen involvement commission. I think it's committee actually.
Okay.
Committee. That's my mistake. Not commission.
Commission.
And the business community to promote programs such as the Heritage Tree Program and Arbor Day. Number 3, improve awareness through the city website, brochures, QR codes, signage, and social media for awareness and interpretation of local, natural, and geological features, trails, stormwater facilities, watersheds, and sites. Coordinate with city efforts to enhance tourism. I guess I meant to say in these areas, but this would emphasize local knowledge and provide interpretive signs for people to learn about things like birding, swift migrations, heritage trees, etc. We can use laminated signs that lead to the Oregon City website using QR codes.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty specific, but these were things you all said.
Yeah.
Give people an easy way to learn.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, continue to strengthen and encourage participation in the Heritage Tree Program through brochures, informational signs for trees, money for incentives, site visits, further outreach, and social media. That one hasn't changed.
No.
5, work with property owners to voluntarily seek heritage tree designation within the Thimble Creek concept plan area. Number 6, support city partnerships with HOAs. I guess I should spell that out. Associations.
Left out the owners.
Acronym alert.
You left out the owners. Oh, you do have owners in there. Never mind. See, I told you I'm a space cadet stuff. So just bear in mind.
Is it 2 words? Maybe.
I just assume it is because it's HOA. So to me,
yeah, all right.
Okay, good.
Metro and Greater Oregon City Watershed Council for grant applications. Well, I said grant applications, but it could just go for habitat improvement projects.
Yeah.
Rather than just limit it to grant applications.
Right. Yeah.
From Newell Creek to Abernathy Creek, but that's probably a little limited in area because there are other watersheds.
Right.
So do we want to say within the city limit?
Yeah, let's say within the city limits. Let's say within city limits.
I think it used to say within the urban growth boundary, which is
go that far?
A wider area than the city limit. And that's where Greater Oregon City Watershed Council has, their boundaries go beyond.
Okay. Then let's do the urban growth boundary, UGB.
Would it be relevant to include language to allow for support of other city partnerships, like with other nonprofits or community?
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like Oregon City Parks Foundation, because they do a lot of the gardens, like the one on the by the Promenade Trail, and I think some other spots, and they've done a lot of like seeding for pollinator habitat this year also.
Right.
Non-profit groups or is not for profit?
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Yeah.
Not.
I mean, I know there's like some schools too, like the Springwater School that does some habitat restoration and projects, and like I don't know if they're a nonprofit.
Oh, we just say groups then.
Yeah, just groups in case there are others.
Because nonprofit assumes you have that whatever that tax thing is.
Yeah, and it might just not be, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it might just be the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the Girl Scouts or whoever.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Within, not from, within the urban growth boundary. Support partnerships with Oregon Heritage Tree Council and Oregon Community Trees. Okay.
Sounds good.
That's the 7 under responsibility 1 for the next biennium. Under responsibility 2, which is about policy recommendations and code and city comprehensive plans and that sort of thing. Number 1, provide input to the city commission on amendments to the city's tree protection and removal codes. How's that? That sounds fine to me.
Yeah. The second one, it's you've got Clackamas Coil and Water District soil, which didn't show up as a typo because that's a word,
Right. It is a weed word. So this is a tricky one for me. I was like, we need to kind of get away from being married to the static list.
Right.
Which was adopted.
I really like the Clackamas Soil and Water District.
Yeah.
To me, that's the best one. So I would like to move it to their list, which they update quite regularly. I would say maybe put that first, or maybe these other ones.
Yeah, I mean, if they're already doing the work, like integrating other, weed programs or weed lists and native plant lists, then that seems like we could just their recommendations.
Clackamas is just doing, and they're keeping it up to date continually. As a new weed shows up, they've got it on the list.
Do you know if Italian arum is on the list?
It is.
Okay, good. I know it's not on Oregon's list, which is like absolutely ridiculous. Or California's. It's just on Washington's, and I've noticed it in some of Waterboard Park has it now.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's all over the McLaughlin neighborhood. When I walk, it's in my yard because the birds give it to me all the time, and I'm always
we had it in our yard this year too.
Yeah, but it's like I know enough to get rid of it, but a lot of people don't. And then we have the lovely, what's that stuff called, lespercelandine, which
oh my gosh, that's so terrible. Yeah, I think it's worse in Portland. Like in Portland, it's terrible. I noticed when I went.
There are parts of the McLaughlin district where it's terrible. There's one place, it's a beautiful big leaf maple, and completely under it is, and you can see where the neighbors have been digging it up and putting it in their yards. And
oh my gosh.
Yep, the one's all over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 3, support a coordinated strategy for invasive species management in 2021-23. I guess we don't need to say that.
Right.
Such as encouraging city participation as a partner to the participation in the Clackamas County Integrated Pest Management Program, improve public outreach and information about invasive plants.
Should that be up in the list, the one above it?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, we're talking how to deal with it, but we really need to. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you guys all on board there? Right.
I'd like to see more flyers in I call it the water statement, and it's not. It's the
Oh, right.
the municipal state, whatever it is.
With the Public Works Department, I guess you should say Public Works with capitals.
Just like a quick note on the invasives, like I feel like there's so much public awareness of like ivy and blackberry as invasives, but in terms of like the quote unquote prettier invasives like arum, celandine, the Spanish bluebells, and grape hyacinths, like people, even if they know that they're weeds, they're like, oh, it's okay, it's pretty. I feel like, yeah, there's just especially like a lack of awareness around those ones,
Yeah.
or lack of concern.
I can't remember, was the agriculture department, I think the state agriculture put out a beautiful brochure on lesser celandine that I've got a copy somewhere on Facebook, but it was really nice because it went, oh yeah, that's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that in staff meeting today, and it's we put out information about the emerald ash borer and the tree of heaven, but we don't want to get tied down to a different species every month because we never know what's worse.
Yeah. Well, to me, the celandine's worse because it's everywhere, and the tree of heaven, I don't see it that it seeds itself. It may, and I know it sends out root runners. Even if you cut it down, you'll keep getting the trees forever. But it's not seeding itself. And like the arum and the celandine, or I don't know that the celandine seeds it, but people think it's pretty, so they dig it up and put it in the yard. That's
Yeah.
what I'm seeing, and the arum seeds itself. I mean, it seeds, and then the birds eat it, and then they give it to everybody.
Right.
So those to me are worrisome just because they're spreading so fast.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and the difficulty is they're spreading on private property and
Right.
state of benign neglect.
Yeah. Oh, and even just people thinking that it's a pretty garden flower.
Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty, I'm going to leave it.
Just leave it.
But they don't realize that it's invasive either. So maybe some people would get rid of it if they knew it was.
Yeah. Yeah. See, number 5 there is look at the City of Eugene Integrated Pit Program as an example. I was thinking we could just combine that into number 2
Mm-hmm.
and shorten the list up.
Right.
How's that sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe have the improved public outreach and information about invasive plants as a separate one.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, let's take that out separate, and then the other two go together better. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. With Public Works Department, number 5. With Public Works Department, explore feasibility of offering reduced stormwater rates in return for planting trees in the right of way to intercept rainfall, reduce runoff, and improve stormwater quality.
Yeah.
I was trying to find a way to kind of encapsulate the idea of the incentive program, and that realistically it requires a lot more coordination with Public Works and with the finance department who administers their utility billing and
Right.
so that's kind of why I wrote it that way. But you all had said quite rightly that this would be a potential benefit for the city's stormwater permit and PDS permit. So,
yes.
but rather refer to that big string of letters, I just kind of put, the benefits.
Yeah.
All right. How's that sound?
I think that sounds good.
Finally, number 6, not least, Support the city's application to and participation in the Bee City USA program through the Xerces Society for Invertebrate Conservation.
Sounds good.
Okay, great. Ooh, looks like I got some extras I didn't follow up. And let's see. Continue numbering. There we go. Number 7.
Oh, your skills on this program are so good, Pete. It's been fun to actually just watch you like make. I always have to do like copy and paste and like manually delete the numbers, but yeah, I feel like I'm learning something here.
Well, yeah. There's the right click button. It's remarkable
Yeah.
what I've learned over. It's amazing how much I don't know, and nor do I want to know about what. Promote. Okay, number 7. Promote public awareness of ways to promote and wow, that's a lot of promote. Promote public awareness of ways to promote and preserve invertebrate habitat through educational events such as booths at the Spring Resource Fair. I'm not sure if I got this right, so help me out. The city website, trail news, and the city Facebook page and other social media.
I don't know I can't help you with the fair.
You know, I feel like it's really nice to have it all laid out, but it's kind of maybe under the umbrella of the Bee City program, and I don't know if it needs to be a separate item because that is part like the educational component is part. If the city were to adopt Bee City, then that is something like this would need to happen.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah.
Do we want to take it out or move it up to number 6?
But I guess the benefit of keeping it separate is if the city doesn't choose to do Bee City, then that could still be something that we could have as an NRC goal.
And we still have the Monarch.
Yes. Yep. The Monarch's mayor. Yeah.
Pledge.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe we should keep it separate.
Okay. Yep. And let's see, number 8, promote public awareness of cost savings associated with reduced pesticide application and reduced landscape maintenance. That's part of the same thing. It's kind of related to the pollinator gardens idea.
Yeah. That's also with the IPM. I think I'd leave that in there because a lot of people still just go and, weed and feed. Like, killing, the insects in your lawn, which it's a lot of native bees that use that. You've got any kind of weeds like dandelions, which I think everybody does. But, I think maybe we should leave that in there because it would be good to, get the public more aware of the dangers of pesticides. And
yeah, I think a lot of people under the impression that whatever they're using is not the bad stuff.
Well, if they sell it at Fred Meyer's, it's got to be okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I can't even walk down that aisle. It smells so bad, but,
I'm going to add that as a saying.
I think I don't think we need to say pesticide and herbicide. Pesticide includes fungicides, insecticides, and herbicides.
Yeah, so just
pesticides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. How's that? Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Looks good.
All right. Number 3 hasn't changed. It has to do with commenting on applications that vary from a natural resource overlay district standards and Willamette River Greenway standards. I didn't put in the geologic hazard standards because if there was an application applications to vary from any overlay district would have to go to the Planning Commission. But in the case of the Natural Resources Overlay District and Willamette River Greenway Overlay District, those are the ones that are more natural resource oriented, I think. The engineering department handles most of the review for geologic hazard standards, enforcing those and reviewing applications for compliance with that. So it's, between these 2 overlay districts, I think you've got habitat and the water quality piece kind of covered.
Right.
The only other overlay districts we have are the floodplain and the historic overlay district, which are kind of, I know that, what is it, NIMFS, National Marine Fisheries Service, has been, this is kind of just a news item because I just learned about it like 2 days ago, and I'm supposed to talk with some authority about it tomorrow at the staff meeting. So National Marine Fisheries Service, or the FEMA, that's right, FEMA got sued by somebody because they weren't coordinating well enough with National Marine Fisheries Service.
Oh.
And because of the values of the floodplain associated with recharge and watershed quality, I mean, everybody thinks about risk in the floodplain and building in the floodplain and then why you shouldn't do that. And they don't talk about the other aspects of the floodplain that are associated with EISs at the federal level. So that's how it all came up. And I think it may just be a state thing, but there are ramifications for local government. Anyway, there's more input going to be sought, I think, on that from the city. Anyway.
So we can add that in the future. If that gets added, we can.
If you want, I can add floodplain in here and we'd be done with it, you know.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Well, it's called the Flood Management Overlay District. That's basically Clackamas River, Willamette River, and everything within the floodplain there. Okay. All right. Number 4, conducting orderly meetings, maintain and update a list of NRC priorities and activities. That's what we're doing. NRC responsibility 5, coordinate with PRAC and the Planning Commission, City Commission on at least an annual basis that results in good communication and mutually beneficial results. Strengthen coordination with PRAC and park staff through regular interaction and attendance at PRAC meetings. Number 2, support funding initiatives and grant applications for parks and open space. 3, invite park staff to attend NRC meetings. Anything more on this one? All right. Well, that's the end of it. I would say that you've done an outstanding job winnowing out some of the stuff that is beyond our scope.
Yeah.
So we could take a voice vote if you feel good about that, and I could say all in favor of adopting the work plan for 2023 to 2025, say aye.
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 Although that was your job. I stole your thunder, Nancy.
Oh, it's okay.
Sorry.
I'll forgive you.
Okay, cool. Well, great. Thanks. Okay, great. Good job.
Okay.
Save.
Yeah, definitely save.
There we go. There's that one done.
Should we do the NRC description next?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to add that to the list. I rewrote the NRC description and sent it to Pete, and he tweaked it a little bit and put it in the Oregon Trail News, which would be cool. But I figured as long as it's not gone in yet, we should maybe look over it and maybe wordsmith up to it.
Let me just pull it up here. Where did I put it? I'm opening it. Okay. Enable editing. All right. Where my screen gone? And sharing. Oh, there it is. Okay. Hey, everybody see this?
Yes.
Oregon City Natural Resources Committee seeking new members. So this is formatted like a news item, but it could just be copied and pasted into the website as well. So anyway, here's the content. Do you love the outdoors? Do you love to take hikes, garden, or just walk around your neighborhood and look at the trees? Are you interested in serving your community and making a difference locally? That's the one I added. If so, the Oregon City Natural Resources Committee is for you. We're looking for people to join our team to help protect the natural resources we have in our town. The NRC is an advisory committee to the Planning Commission and City Commission and PRAC. I should add that. Committee members work closely with city staff to promote policies to protect, restore, and enhance the environmental quality of Oregon City. What's the time commitment? Well, you guys can tell me this. A minimum commitment of 5 to 10 hours a month is normal. Is that ballpark?
Depends on how many minutes we have to read from them.
Oh, unless there are minutes.
Yeah. Well, even at that, it doesn't take that long to go through them. That takes more, but maybe a little less. I don't know. I kind of think if I've ever spent 10 hours.
I don't want to scare people away by putting in too many hours on there. So,
That sounds like slightly high, but I haven't been on it very long. Like,
it sounds a little high to me because there are times when there's not a lot to do where maybe we spend, we meet for 2 hours, so maybe I spend an hour getting ready. So 3
to 4.
Let's put out commitment of 3 to 6 or something like that.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah, especially because we're stating the minimum. I think, we're looking for potentially non-experts, but just interested community members to join our committee. And in a lot of cases, they may just come and sit in on the meeting and offer that community perspective as opposed to an expert perspective that might require some outside of the meeting work. So I like that 3 to 6.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm going to add meetings are open to the public and usually last less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
I like that.
I put that we're still on Zoom.
Oh, and it's the second Monday.
Children. Oh, yeah, it is.
Do we normally go about 2 hours? That's what it seems like.
It seems like a month, an hour and a half to 2 is pretty standard.
Okay.
We can go over 2 once in a while and rarely under an hour, but, I mean, we hardly have anything. We've already gone, So this is going to be a short one, though.
I like shorter meetings.
Yeah.
Allowing people with small children to participate more easily. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people have kids and to run and take care of their kids and come back, and it's okay,
Yeah.
And also, I feel like maybe accessibility to cars, there might be more reasons than just small kids why people might prefer Zoom, like mobility issues or lack of access to.
That's good too.
There could be other reasons.
Mobility issues,
or we could just
Let's just,
I think, Emily, it sounds like where you're going with this is we could broaden it and just say we're on Zoom.
Yeah.
For people who aren't able to meet in person or something.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Or don't want to.
Yeah. I was thinking that also.
All those introverts in the world.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's implied, this whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Meetings are open to the public. What did I say? Oh, the public. Okay. They usually last less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
How do I apply? Citizens with an interest and knowledge of, well, you check me on this one. Citizens with an interest in and knowledge of natural resource issues in Oregon City are encouraged to apply.
Yeah, you can still have knowledge. You don't have to have, we're not saying you have to have education in it.
Right.
But you should have, at least even know that it's a tree or a shrub or something. I mean, so
Yeah, you will be tested at the time of interview. Now, pardon?
Oh no, I'm just wondering, like, knowledge of natural resource issues. Is it required that people have like very local knowledge, or do we need to include that?
You can if you want.
Okay.
I mean, I said natural resources issues in Oregon City. We could take that out. I think the focus has been because of the advisory nature to the city. I said Oregon City, but I'm, I
we don't necessarily need to. You don't have to be an expert in Oregon City.
So if we take it out,
either or could be useful, but maybe not both would be a requirement.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me know if you want me to add anything here. Anything.
I like the posture of going kind of as loose as possible with some of this language that might limit their applicant pool. Our problem isn't too many applicants, right? Our problem is kind of not enough. And so if we were to get a community member who was highly engaged, interested, motivated, and didn't have a lot of expertise or like former knowledge, we might still consider that, because I think that effort is more important than, or just as important to have on the team as people who are coming with bodies of knowledge. So I almost think like interest in like / and or knowledge of, as this isn't any kind of like a compelling document. It's like we want people to come and apply. Like this is our pitch. And if we need to weed down the list because we end up with too many applicants who don't fit the need, then that'd be an all right problem to have, I think, at this stage.
Oh, and even I don't know that we need issues. Do people need to know that there are natural resource issues, or should they just be interested, have knowledge in natural resources?
Yeah, I like that.
Citizen interest in or knowledge of natural resources. Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd even consider another sentence that's like, you don't need to be an expert.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And I think that the way it was worded before, it made it sound like we wanted people who only had formal training, and and getting some people with formal training is great, but I don't think everybody on the committee needs to have formal training and stuff. I mean, Dee Dee was on it for years and she was great. So she doesn't, her training comes from Dee Dee.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Maybe put this up front.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe even put it higher.
Okay.
Let's leave it there.
Like up here?
Yeah, if you're looking for people to join our team, you do not need to be an expert. But then we haven't told them what they want. So maybe let's leave it where it is. I don't know.
Well, I like putting it up there. That makes sense. Okay. On its own line.
Yeah. And then people write, oh, I have to be an expert. They want me to know something about nature, but that's it.
Okay, cool. Citizen application.
Look at mine. I got so many NFs. I got like 20 things open at the same time. Drives my daughter crazy.
There's that one. And then.
So we're on to new business. So.
Oh, yeah.
The removal of the tree. And I can report that I've been watching that tree die for months now. So.
Okay.
It is dead. Yeah. Because I walk past it twice a day. It's just like poor thing. Like, oh.
Yeah, there's, I put a report in here. I went out and looked at it the other day, took some more photographs, got up a little closer to it. Where's
Did
my
not like the heat last summer and probably still left over from the heat the year before.
Here's
So
my photos? I'll just pull the photos up and then I'll talk through it.
sounds good.
It's taking a while to load all the photos. Ooh, and they're very large. Okay. Hang on. Okay. Here. Can you see a picture?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so I took this photo just the other day. This tree has met the criteria for public noticing because it's a city-initiated tree removal,
Right.
even though it's dead.
Everything's brown on it. It's complete. All the needles
Yeah.
are brown.
So it's got a notice on there. You can kind of see the little notice that Parks put up there. I took a couple of photos a little closer. This is the one that John Waverly took a while back,
Yeah.
not too long ago. This is some oozy stuff at the base of the tree. So there's that. And then these are all these little fungal fruiting bodies all over it.
Wow. It looked bad last year when we put it on the heritage tree list. I remember thinking, yeah, I don't know if that tree is going to make it, but maybe it will. And then it proceeded
Yeah.
to very brown immediately after putting it on the list. And I'm like,
And it's
But
got
look close at it up those fungal things. Those look cool.
they're kind of cool. Included bark. I don't know if this is an entry point or how much rot there is because this was above my head and I couldn't get up there. There's a better shot from the other side of where the lean. Well, it's not leaning. Well, it is leaning a bit, but
Yeah.
that one branch is definitely leaning towards the wading pool and the picnic area.
Yeah.
So those are all the photos I took. And let's see, what do we say about it?
Yeah.
So now it's pretty much completely dead. At some point, given a weather event, that tree could fail, and so there's a high likelihood of impact to some targets,
Like the pool.
like the pool or the wading pool, even worse. And then those are not targets that can be moved. So there's a potential risk of personal injury, moderate to high value property damage, and considerable disruption of important activities was my qualitative assessment.
It is dead.
And it's dead.
It's not like we're taking out a living tree.
Yep. So the standard for removal of a heritage tree is that the burden imposed on the owner by the continued presence of the tree outweighs the public benefit provided by the tree, not including unreasonable burdens such as view obstruction, routine maintenance, and even infrastructure impacts that can be controlled or avoided by those methods. But in this case, they cannot be avoided.
Pruning isn't going to help that tree.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything you could
No.
do to it to get it to green up. So that's our staff assessment of it. So our request from the NRC is to get your feeling about whether it should remain designated as a heritage tree or not.
I think we should take it from the list so it can be removed because it's not alive. So
I agree.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I second that or third that rather.
Okay. So the plan is to go to the city commission next next Wednesday to and we will let them know what you guys recommended or decided, and they will make the call on the de-designation. Normally it goes on the consent agenda, but they may decide to pull it off the consent agenda if they want to discuss it and furthermore. Okay.
Yeah. Just a quick question on that. Do you know if there's a plan to put something else in its spot, or in that area? It looks like it's kind of empty.
Yeah, there is a replacement plan. They turned in a site plan with a replacement tree, but I'll get with Parks.
It'd be cool to put the same species, because that's not at all a common species in this.
The Austrian pine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we know why it died, though? I mean, is it going to be susceptible to the same sort of die-off?
I don't know. My fear is that it started looking bad the summer when we had the really, really bad heat wave, and then it got a little better, and then last summer it just the heat last summer and the dryness. So I think it could be a drought heat thing, which maybe we should put something different that could withstand that.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see. Like, I don't think of Austria as a particularly hot area. Like,
oh, and this tends to grow up in the mountains more.
Yeah,
not alpine, but yeah.
Sure, I can pass that recommendation along to Parks.
I mean, maybe ask if we have somebody who's more of an expert. Too bad Sam's not here, but in terms of whether that tree is really, I mean, I'd like to replace it with the same species, but if that species is very susceptible to heat waves and drought, then definitely find something else.
Mm.
Also, maybe not. I mean, it looks like there's a lot of root space there to get something that was native, or like especially drought tolerant if it's not native.
It's not that much room because
it's hard to tell. I don't know that area.
I know. It's really close to that cement wall by the thing, and it's maybe, I mean, it's probably 5-10 feet, but it's also on a slope.
Yeah, the tree behind it looks really good.
Yeah, and there's a big clump of trees back there, but that one, for whatever reason, but I noticed it last summer. I mean, we designated it, and even when we designated, I remember thinking, I don't know if that one's going to make it, but think about it down if it doesn't. And then it just died last summer. So
yeah, okay.
But yeah, I suppose we could put something native there, but I don't know. What.
Well, we could. I'll ask John Waverly what he thinks. I don't know what role PRAC has in this, Amy. Emily. Is this something that you guys want to discuss at PRAC, or you could?
I can certainly bring it up. I don't know if that would. I'm sorry, what was that, Nancy?
We have native pines. You could put a different native pine, like
ponderosa pine. I mean, that doesn't. I don't know if they'd want something that casts shade. Ponderosa pine does tend to cast a lot of shade, but
or maybe one of the,
because it looks like it's over that picnic area.
One of the white pines, maybe.
Yeah. Well, if they're going with conifers, there's a lot of choice.
Western white pine would be nice there.
Yeah. Okay, so the general recommendation would be to replace it with a native conifer.
Yeah.
But
I could be convinced of something else.
Juniper might be nice too.
Okay.
Not so much. Okay, scratch that. Never mind. They just smell so good.
I'm allergic to them. I get one smell of juniper, and when I go to Eastern Oregon, and I never smell anything the rest of the time. I'm over it.
Well, so you could be persuaded otherwise?
I could be persuaded otherwise. Somebody came up with something else that they'd really like to see there. I'd be like, okay with that.
I think it's probably going to get debated at City Commission as well. So, I appreciate you guys giving some input on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. And we'll see. I'm not sure how soon they'll be replanting, but we'll see. Okay. So that one's done. All right. And
We have the minutes.
then we have the minutes. So the minutes were from January the 13th, 2021. We
It
talked,
looked fine to me, other than I told Pete when I got on, I kept reading them, and I'm really having a day where I'm really brain dead. I think my allergies are terrible. And I kept going, who is this Mr. Walter guy? Oh my
don't worry, happens all the time.
it shouldn't.
No, it's fine. So we talked about old business, Thimble Creek Heritage Tree Selection. We talked about that.
Right.
Then new business. We talked about updating the work plan for 2021-23.
Yeah.
We talked about OC 2040, amending design standards for right of way, revising HRB guidelines, and reviewing the annexation code. New notification process for tree removals on city-owned land was now in place. And you talked about a tree inventory. Okay, so these are an example of action minutes. It's like bare bones, what was discussed, what was decided, and that kind of thing. So this should take care of our significant backlog. However, moving forward, we are going to need to be more on the ball in terms of getting our minutes drafted. And so I was going to talk to Ryan. I apologize in advance for this, but you were gone. And we nominated you as secretary.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean that you have to spend your entire meeting time scribbling notes. You can even summarize after the meeting, send me a draft, and I'll fill in any gaps that need it.
Okay.
But I wanted to bring this up to your attention, and I should have talked to you outside of the meeting, but
Yeah, before, I'm just saying.
I'm not putting you on the spot, but it happened.
No, that's fine.
So, okay, thank you. So I will be, I'm here to help.
Okay.
But under the bylaws, we're supposed to have a secretary. And now that we no longer have a transcriptionist. So the official record is like a set of action minutes, which are like bare bones like this, and then the YouTube video and the recording on the city website. Right? So that's okay. Cool. And that's everything.
Use the agenda because we didn't.
And of course, when we get more members, we can have re-elections.
So we have communications.
Yeah, let's see. I do not have a whole lot for communications at the moment. The city commission did tentatively adopted the street tree code amendments.
Yay.
Yes. So the ordinance is going before the commission next Wednesday.
Okay.
For a first reading. And then there's the second reading after that. And then it's a done deal.
Yeah. Good.
So, and it might be a good one to listen in on to see where the discussion goes after that. They also raised the fee in lieu of planting to $500 instead of where it's at now, which was $391.
Okay.
And we looked at different cities throughout the region, and we were right in the middle in terms of fee in lieu. But so we didn't want to be under. I think 500 was pretty much a little bit on the higher end, but more realistic in terms of maintaining the tree over a period of time. So that's good, and that'll be readopted as a part of the fee schedule at an upcoming meeting too. So We'll repeg it. And then it'll go up 3% or whatever the construction price index is every year. So that's that. That was a street tree code. We don't know yet what the guidance is on the tree canopy goals and that sort of thing, but we'll be getting further direction from City Commission soon on that. And then let's see on the planning department side of things. There's a lot, as you may know, there's a lot of housing bills coming out of the legislature at the moment to promote housing, production of housing, and reducing red tape for housing construction. So Oregon City is in compliance with just about everything that's come out of the legislature so far, and then that includes implementation of the Climate Friendly and Equitable Communities initiative from the legislature, and that involves taking out parking mandates from your zoning code and removing parking minimums so that a developer can provide parking if they want to, but the city's not going to mandate it for new development. And this is a statewide thing. And then there's so that's in effect already within a half a mile of a high transit corridor. So that means if you've got a bus that comes more than four times or more an hour, that's considered a high transit corridor. And when you're within a half a mile of that, the city cannot require a minimum parking standard. But obviously it's controversial, but it's taking the city out of the equation. If a developer wants to build it, building parking is expensive. It takes up valuable real estate. It creates demand for traffic just by dint of having a parking space there. And there's been a lot of studies on how free parking and parking that sits idle for most of the day is a very kind of an unsustainable land use policy. So anyway, Oregon City has long had maximum parking restrictions because we're a metro city, but this is going even further. The difficulty, what we see, is when developers want to add more parking than our code allows. And so we've got a mechanism in our code called the parking adjustment, where they can go to the planning commission and request an adjustment to either exceed the number of parking spaces allowed or reduce the number of parking spaces required. But generally what we always see is a request to exceed the number of spaces allowed, because we're more of a suburban city. Mm-hmm. So that's a discretionary decision that the planning commission has to make, not staff. Anyway, that's that. Still going on. We got an extension from the state to put in for another year, basically, before we have to fully comply with these parking mandates. And there's also a housing production strategy, which is what other incentives can cities provide beyond just removing regulatory boundaries, such as having slightly reduced SDCs or system development charges for smaller units of housing, to try to incentivize more housing production. So that's all part of this stuff coming out of the state. And frankly, it's hard to keep track of. There are so many bills right now, but we'll get there. And I think that's going on. So we're working on that. And then we have not had a whole lot of development applications come in the last 2 weeks. So it's not much on the development front horizon at the moment. Just stuff that's been in the works. any reports from you guys?
I was going to ask if there was anything on the city forester. Is that?
Haven't heard yet. Still under discussion because the budget has. I don't think it's been fully finalized yet. They're still working out some of the kinks.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'd be sure to give you an update once I know. Mm-hmm.
I went to the Arbor Day celebration at the
thanks.
Trail on whenever that was, Arbor Day, April Fool's Day. And I was the only person there who wasn't a city employee or a relative of a city employee. The mayor and I were the only two people there. Basically, there was no, I mean, I went that morning, I couldn't remember what time it was because I'm horrible with numbers. And so I went to the city website and all they had was the Friends of Trees tree planting at Chapin Park. They had nothing about anything going on at the end of it.
And the enhancement day.
Yeah. And so, I've got a torn rotator cuff, so I was pretty worthless. So they gave me a little trowel and a bunch of little plants to plant at the entryway. So I still got a lot of things planted. It's going to be beautiful when they all.
I came down a little later and I saw you, but you were already kind of heading out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was.
I just wish there'd been a lot more publicity about it, or it made it. And they told me, the lady who was running it, I can't remember her name, but she told me that she had talked to the guy doing the website, and that he had a whole web thing for it, and maybe it was somewhere on the web. But when you opened it up and looked at events of Oregon City that day, all they had was the Friends of Trees thing and not the actual city thing, which kind of disappointed in. So I'd like to see.
Yeah, I think last year apparently was at someone from the McLaughlin Neighborhood Association really drummed up a lot of support for it as well, Francesca.
Yeah.
And that was kind of helpful. But yeah, I talked to John Waverly about that, and it was a bit of a, we had Arbor Day going on up the hill.
Right.
And that was a huge success.
Right, because it was advertised.
Well, yeah, and so planning kind of handled that because we handle Arbor Day and Friends of Trees stuff, and Parks did a minimal amount of publicizing. So, but yeah, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was pouring rain. It was still fun.
I know, it was a good day to plant trees.
It was. We didn't have to water anything in. The other thing was that I thought I'd mention the Trillium. What was that? Trillium Park?
Trillium Park Homeowners Association?
Yeah. Emily, remember we went up there on a tour? Well, we had another meeting that was much fewer people and just indoors talking about how we can help the Homeowners Association, and they want to get in and do some clearing, and so there's people working together behind the scenes right now in terms of selecting a spot to go in and do a major ivy removal type thing. And then in the future go in and do some replanting, and like I said, it'd help figure out what plants would go in at that point. But so anyway, it's in the works. So I don't know if there's anything more on that. Pete,
I can tell you. I'm working with a property owner on a different part of the city, but basically, they are contributing some money as part of a code enforcement requirement for about 20,000 square feet of planting, and take that money and put it in an account for the partnership with the HOA and use it to replant that area over behind the hospital. So that's what I'm working on independently and trying to coordinate with Public Works on that, but it's moving forward. We actually have our David Evans and Associates checking the planting plan, make sure it's correct and appropriate for the environment there. So I think we're going to have about 100 so trees and about 400 shrubs to contribute to that project.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, and then the HOA will provide some sweat equity and volunteer planting.
Jerry was gonna, he had some people he could get out there.
Yeah, and so that's moving forward.
Yeah. And then the last thing is the peace tree celebration, which is, it's April.
Thank you. Yeah, April 29th,
Okay.
10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And so far, we have confirmed speakers from the Oregon Department of Forestry. Cal Makamoto is apparently not going to be able to come, but Jim Gersbach, who's been very involved with the Hiroshima Peace Tree Program, has actually been to Japan, visited the tree, and he's going to come and speak. As is Kim Stafford, former poet laureate, which will be great. We have a letter from Tamara Hideko Snyder. I haven't read the letter yet, but we're going to read the letter at the ceremony. And a couple more people still in the works as far as speakers. We'll have some light refreshments, and the mayor will come and say a few words as well. So it's shaping up to be a nice event. Please do tell your friends and neighbors about it if they can come. We put it out on Trail News. We put it out on eTrail News and on the city website. So,
Does the city have any mechanism to do like a press release or something for this? It sounds like such
now
a
that
big
we
deal.
have, actually, now that you mention it, Ellen Spitaleri from Oregon City News called and asked on Tuesday about the event. So I put her in touch with ODF and Jim Gersbach because he's a great spokesperson for the entire program. And then she hasn't talked to me yet, but she may. I wanted the folks that were much more knowledgeable about the program to, just talk directly to the press about it. So there should be an article coming out about that hopefully soon.
Cool.
And
Hey, Kitty.
Yeah.
What a pretty cat. Who's that?
This is Shadow.
Oh, yes, he is.
Yes, she's about a year and a half old now. So
So that's that. Oh, and then Sam Wolf also asked about city hosting Oregon Community Trees in June and finding a place for them to meet. And I think I need to talk to the library about it, but potentially they could use the community room at the library, but that's not confirmed yet.
good.
Mm-hmm.
That heads up below my radar. So
Right. Okay, I don't have anything else. If I do, I can't remember it. Sorry. It's been a busy month in terms of tree stuff.
yeah,
So
it's been a cold month.
Where the focus is right now.
Yeah, it's a good time to be planting trees.
Yeah.
This weather is horrible for us, but it's good for trees.
It is. Any other reports?
Family member, and to save them time from having to come here, I figured I would just ask it. And I don't know what this is in reference to, but the question, maybe you would know, Peter. It says, what kind of fine is imposed?
I'm sorry.
Somebody who knowingly hires a tree removal company. Oh, are we still connected?
Yeah.
You're broken up a little bit. I didn't catch all of that.
Sorry, my internet has been so bad. The question from the community member is, what type of fine is imposed on somebody who knowingly hires a tree removal company to remove end-rod trees without coming to the NRC or without a permit?
Oh, yeah. So if they don't get a permit for tree removal in the end-rod, first we go through a standard code enforcement process. we first have to investigate it and reach out to the homeowner and determine whether or not there was a violation, and try to bring them voluntarily into compliance. Most of the time that is the case, but if they drag their feet and don't want to play ball or aren't fully forthcoming about what happened, it becomes difficult, and we have to initiate formal code enforcement at that point, which means citing them through code enforcement, providing a notice of violation, and a timeline to correct, or they get a subpoena and go to municipal court. And what typically happens, and I haven't seen too many of these situations, but I am familiar with a couple of them. I'm still in the process of working through two of these, and so is our assistant planner, Jude. It takes a lot of documentation to get to city court, and then the judge would basically fine them for each day that they have an infraction, but there's a lot of discretion, and there's a lot of evidence that needs to be put into the record before the municipal court. And so at that point, planning provides as much information to the code enforcement officer who's processing the case through the court, because it's, code enforcement critical force. And if the judge says, you're fined and you need to provide planning with the application that they wanted originally, that's the way it works up. So sometimes it literally takes a judge to force somebody to provide the application that we would have required in order to make them comply with the code. The other way to do it is, if we end up in court, the judge says, you shall provide a remediation plan that meets the planning department's requirements. And we would say, well, it was 10,000 square feet of canopy impact. It's 20,000 square feet of planting required. And then they're on the hook for providing that remediation plan. And if they fail to do that, then there's a whole series of fines that tend to accrue. And the worst thing that can happen is they don't show up in court, and then they're in contempt of court. And then just, channels. But if they do up and they end up working with staff, which is what we try to do in the very, very first place, is get them talking to staff and get them into the process and voluntarily comply. And then, so typically we make them file the application that they should have filed in the first place, which is a little bit weird because it's forensic. At that point, they're doing it after the fact. We have to make some assumptions about trees and how many were removed and what the size was. Hopefully the person, people can take photos, and they do, but they're not allowed to trespass. And so there's complications there, but we don't, as staff, have the authority or power to just say, find someone. We're not deputized or anything like that. We're only allowed to work in the capacity that we work in as planning staff. We're not an enforcement department. That's why we work through the code enforcement process that we have. And that applies to any code infraction in the city, whether it's just cutting your scrubs so that you can see out a driveway or something like that, or a sidewalk lift, or garbage or solid waste or anything. But all the INROD stuff falls under the same mechanism. So if anyone has questions about that, please send them our way, and we'll be happy to let them know what the situation is. We do have some ongoing enforcement stuff and going on in the parts of the city. Frequently, what we find is that it's very difficult to prove something after the fact, so we kind of have to make some assumptions and look at aerial photography a lot of the time and just say, look, there was canopy here in 2021. Now there isn't, and that's usually enough to get them to say, "Oh well, yeah, that happened. Oh, it was the heat dome. Oh, the tree blew down, or it didn't." But so, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I don't know like what specifically I think so. I'm going to pass all this information. I've been writing down what you've been saying, so I will pass that info on.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, they can
thank
call
you.
me direct or call Jude. He's really responsible and responsive about that too. So
Okay, yeah, thank you so much.
yeah, sure. Hey, Nancy.
Anything else?
Oh, I guess so I can't remember if I mentioned this at our last meeting, but the CIC did unanimously vote to recommend B City to the commission. And I don't know, like, I know that maybe that information has been passed on to Tony Conkle. I don't know in what format, like, that's presented to the commission. And it sounded like potentially NRC might have a role in presenting that information, maybe along with a Xerxes staff member, to the commission for like a formal vote. And I don't know like what the process or the order of operations for something like that is.
Well, I don't know either, but if it went to Tony, I'm sure there'll be something coming back down, and depend on which department's going to file the application. So whether it's Public Works, Parks, or us. And I don't know that yet, but I got my ear to the ground. So when did they make that recommendation?
That was over a month ago. Let's see.
Okay.
It was not the one on the 3rd, so it would have been March 6th. So,
March 6th. Okay.
A while ago.
Yeah, we will follow through then, and I'll follow through and see what the situation is. So. From our perspective, it's we got to get the administrative gears turning and get the application turned in and collect letters of support, and that sort of thing. So, but just takes a little direction, and who has the bandwidth to do it. So,
if anyone and city staff needs, like, I'm happy to direct to Xerxes staff members or kind of spearhead that. I have time for that this summer, but I don't know exactly what to do. So I will need some help just in terms of who to contact or
okay,
where to begin with that. I mean, I have instincts, but I don't know if they're correct or equal.
My recollection is pretty bare, but I know that there needs to be city sponsorship of the program.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it could potentially be done with volunteer help. But I'll go on and take a look at the Xerxes Society website and start getting their forms sussed out. I'll mention this to Aquila tomorrow as well, and she can talk to John Lewis and Tony at their meeting and see what they want to do.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right.
Are we done? So should I call this meeting to not order? I adjourn this meeting. That's what I'm doing.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your help and input.
Yep.
Thank you.
See you next month. Well, actually, I should see you at the Peace Street meeting, but